Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is George Herrera with the Queens Home Team at Keller Williams Realty. In today's video, I'm answering the question, what is a flip tax in a co-op? So if you've been in the market, thinking of buying, in the market to buy now, you may be wondering what a flip tax is. You may have heard this term because it's very common in Queens and in New York City to find co-ops for sale. And sometimes you'll see flip tax in the description, or you might hear somebody talking about it. So what is a flip tax? A flip tax in a co-op is a fee imposed by the co-op. The co-op is a corporation, right? So it's a fee imposed by the co-op on the sale or transfer of an apartment. So whenever an owner, a shareholder, sells their unit, if the building has a flip tax, then that fee is usually paid when there's a transfer. This fee is typically paid by the seller, but in some cases it can be negotiated for the buyer to pay or split between both parties. I can tell you here in Queens and Brooklyn, for the most part, we always see the flip tax paid by the seller. Very rare that we see the buyer pay it, or very rare that we see the flip tax split. For the most part, in our experience, it's paid by the seller, the flip tax. The purpose of the flip tax is to raise funds for the co-op's reserve fund, maintenance or capital improvements. So usually that is where you'll see it. It's a flip tax the co-op is placing on the shareholder, or the transfer of that apartment, and then those funds typically will go into their reserves, and they can use that to have healthy reserves or to do capital improvements in the future. The amount of the flip tax can vary and is usually calculated based on one of the following methods. Usually, so the flip tax can be a different way how you calculate it. A percentage of the sale price. So we've seen that where it could be, let's say 2% of the sale price is the flip tax. A flat fee. So it could be a flip tax of $10,000 flat, or $5,000 flip tax, just a flat fee upon the sale or transfer of an apartment. A per share basis. So when you buy a co-op, you're buying shares of a corporation. Usually you own you have your apartment, right? And that apartment is a certain number of shares. So let's say there's 360 shares is what you own, your apartment. And the 360 shares, sometimes there's a flip tax where it's a dollar amount per share. And you just multiply the amount times the number of shares, and that's your flip tax. And then there's also some that are profit-based. So there's some apartments where the co-op, if you sell it for $150 and you bought it for $100,000, the profit is $50,000, and then it will be, sometimes it's based at a percentage of the profit is what your flip tax is. So like I said, if you sell it for, let's say you sold it for $400,000, you bought it for $300,000, there's a profit of $100,000, that's the gain there, and then usually those are assessed as a percentage of that profit that you made. So definitely different ways for flip taxes, the ways you can see them, but they are definitely something that is very common in New York City. And if you're in the market to buy a co-op, it is one of the things you should be asking whenever you look at co-ops, or when you go on a viewing, when you're asking for more information. Does this co-op have a flip tax? And if they do have a flip tax, you want to find out what it is and how it's calculated, because when you buy it, most likely it'll be the seller that pays it. But when you sell, most likely that's going to be an additional closing cost that you'll be taking on. So definitely something to keep in mind, something to consider when you're in the market to buy a co-op. If you have any questions about flip taxes or how they're calculated, or co-ops that don't have flip taxes, if you want to get some information just in general, feel free to reach out to us. Our phone number and our email is down below, and you can also visit us at queenshometeam.com for any other information, questions that you might have. Thanks as always for tuning in, y'all. Stay tuned for the next episode. Take care and have a great day.